we just wanted everyone to join by going to hellosmart.com, and we want that because you will be engaged in SMART activities as a student before you learn how to create these as a teacher. So with that, let's review some of our objectives for today. One, again, we're going to experience SLS online from a student's perspective. We're also going to demo how you would sign in and customize SLS online as a teacher. And then finally, we're going to challenge you to create some SMART activities to use with students right away. We're going to ask you to actually share them with us as well via Twitter if you are on Twitter. So moving right along, let's go ahead and do our first SMART activity. This one is called a Shout It Out, and those of you that are in my class are going to respond as soon as I click Start for Class. You're going to do so in a text box. And what I want to know from you guys is how you feel about gamification in your classroom, because that is what SMART activities help you accomplish. So as I click Start for Class, you will see a text box momentarily, and in that text box, please put in a benefit that you think would be associated with gamification in your class, or perhaps some challenges that you see from gamification. So I'll give you a second to do that. And you have multiple responses, so feel free to send as many as you'd like. As you can see with Shout It Out, you can have categories. In this case, I have selected 2 categories, essentially pros of gamification and cons of gamification in the classroom. I'm seeing some great responses. Let's go ahead and start with the challenges. Let's open this one up right here by clicking on it. And that's exactly what you can do on your smartboard with your finger. Just tap on the response you'd like to enlarge. So we don't know where to start. Creation time and options. I can definitely help you with that. SMART activities have 12 different templates, and you will experience several of them as students today. And they actually take 5 minutes or less. Kids get off task, absolutely. So depending on what kind of game you use, you want to make sure they are continuously engaged, or perhaps that they're not stuck in the game for too much time. And I see here a related issue is that games may take too long. So the great thing about SMART activities is that you decide how long they will take. And again, time to create games. So that's definitely some of those important challenges. Let's look at benefits, which we seem to have a lot more of. So let's see right here. We have student engagement and healthy competition. Make learning fun, absolutely. Games are fun. You get that buy-in from students, definitely. And you motivate your students, absolutely. So lots of different responses there. If I wanted to move something from one category to another, I can do that. So let's say motivation, I feel like doesn't go in this category. I would just simply move it over to the category I feel it does go into. Obviously, that wouldn't be a great example for today's task. Another thing I've done, if you notice, is I have put this on anonymous. So over here, when I created my Shout It Out, I decided that my students' names would not be displayed. If I wanted them to be displayed, I would have left this on. And in that instance, I would see just some small indicator right here, the first 3 letters of the student's name. Now, of course, with something like this, I just chose to go ahead and leave it not displaying names. And that's Shout It Out. So let's move along to another SMART activity. This next one is called Super Sort. And go ahead and click Start as you are in my class in that second browser that you opened. So for here, if you're not in my class, I'm just going to go ahead and start it as well so that you can see what it looks like. I am sorting equations into true or false. For example, the last one here says 3 is greater than 0. I'm going to say that's true. And I would be correct because the response disappears into that spaceship. I'll go ahead and give you a few seconds to kind of see how all of that works. Now, if anyone is actually done, can you tell us what happens to the spaceships once you are finished? I know this is kind of a hard math example for some of us that used to teach social studies.
Teddy, I noticed that Jacqueline said that they fly away.
They fly away. Yeah, they do. Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and do the next one. This one is called Match 'em Up. You click Start. This one is asking you to match up the lab instrument and its name. So those of you that perhaps are science teachers, this is another great example of a smart activity you can do for review or even to preview some knowledge. Maybe you're getting ready to do a lab. You might want to make sure that everybody knows what these things do. For example, we have this image here. I'm going to match the image to the dropper. And so the students can do these type of activities either on your smart panel or on their device. You can do that individually or collaboratively if you do not have one-to-one devices. Notice too that in this one, I have images that show you what the instrument is. You can also decide to have images, text, numbers, etc. Okay, let's go ahead to the next one. Okay, this one is called Fill in the Blanks. And in this case, I have put in a quote, a very famous quote about learning. Go ahead and see if you can match up the right blanks to the right words. So if those of you who are finished got it correct, I just want to tell you the answers. They are tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. So these smart activities are a great way to involve students in their own learning. Okay, now we're going to do a slightly different one where students must have devices in order to participate. So you guys are all in my class, which is great. I'm going to expand this menu for any latecomers who may want to join. But basically what we're going to do is participate in a fun 5-question trivia quiz. It's called Monster Quiz, and I put in all those questions, and you guys are going to compete among yourselves, but you're also going to be on teams. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. When I click Start for Class, it will show me everybody who is actually in my class at this time. Right now I have 7 of you. I'm going to go ahead and divide into teams. Because I have 7, I think maybe groups of maybe 3 and 4 would be fine. So I'll put you into 2 groups. And now that we have our 2 groups, fire stormers and fire divers, I will go ahead and start the quiz and let you guys answer those questions. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the quiz because you know what? I found a mistake in my quiz, but that's okay. You get the idea. When I end this quiz, we'll see who sort of finished first. And then we're going to see also a review of what everybody scored collectively. Again, there was a mistake. So if you answered airplane for Wright brothers, you were actually correct. Let's review. So as we can see here, the fire divers, we can celebrate that they scored as the #1 team, 66% correct on the first try as compared to the fire stormers. Now I'm going to go a little further as a teacher because I want to know how ready my kids really are for the test. And I will go ahead and review each question by question. So overall, I see that 54% of the questions were answered correctly on the first attempt. And then I kind of see a breakdown of what people answered or didn't answer. For example, Shakespeare wrote Hamlet. This was true, and most of you knew that. So I may still review it for those of you that didn't. But overall, my class did pretty well on that question, and so on. Okay, so let's move along. Okay, you guys have seen some of the SMART activities thus far. I don't have time in this webinar to show you all of them, but we did do Shout It Out in the beginning, and we're gonna get ready to do Shout It Out again as a type of review. So you've seen Shout It Out, you've seen Super Sort, that sorts things into 2 categories, and you've seen Match 'em Up, so you can match, for example, with my example, the scientific lab instrument to its name, and you've seen Monster Quiz and fill in the blanks. So judging by what you've seen with these gamification elements, how can you use these in your class? So once you get this text box, go ahead and think of an example of how you would use any of these activities. Okay, I'm seeing some really, really great answers. Okay, I'm seeing one right here. Super short would be good, for a brain break during a lesson. Absolutely. Let's see what else. Student practice. Definitely. These games really encourage students to practice content that they've learned. And a fun way to check for understanding. Quick check-ins. Absolutely. And to review material. So lots of great ideas. And as well, I have somebody here saying pre-assessment. Absolutely. So Monster Quiz is one of those activities that really gives you an understanding of how well your students understand the concepts you're trying to either teach them or have taught them. So that way, if you do it as a pre-assessment, you can kind of understand right away what you really do need to teach them because they've never heard of it, or what they already know perhaps from previous years in school. So lots of different and really great ideas here. Let's go ahead and move on to how we're going to sign into our class as a teacher and create them. Now there are 2 different ways. Those of us who use Google and our districts have Gmail and we use Google Drive and all of that sort of thing, this will be super easy for you. So if you just kind of close out the tab where you are following my class, where you're in my class, you can go ahead and come back to the original screen. So go ahead and leave my class if you don't mind. So for Google, I'm just going to demo this really quickly, and I'll do for everyone else, I do it the original way. In my Drive, I can actually create SMART activities right from here, and it will create a SMART Learning Suite file right in my Google Drive. What I would do is select New, just as if I was going to create a new Google Doc or slides or whatever, but I'm going to look for SMART Learning Suite. Now note that just because you're a Google district doesn't automatically mean you have this Smart Learning Suite app. So it's something you want to make sure that your administration has pushed out either at the school site or the district level. But once I select Smart Learning Suite, I'm going to create right from there. So I sign in as a teacher, I'll sign in as myself, and then I'm going to end up in a landing page that allows me to select create a SMART activity. And it looks just like this. And today's webinar is covering really just how to start with an activity. So that's how you access Smart Learning Suite online from Google Drive. Let's look at how to access it from just originally. I'm going to go ahead and sign out so that you can see. So if I don't have a Google account, what I would do is actually open up a web browser and go to suite.smarttech.com. That's suite.smarttech.com. I would select sign in, and I would sign in with my Microsoft or my Google account that way as well. Again, it's much easier with Google to go through Drive. However, you can do it this way too. So let me go back just to demo it one more time. I go to suite.smarttech.com. I click sign in, and I sign in as myself. And once I sign in, I'm going to get a similar landing page as I did earlier. And then I can, from there, from my home screen here, I can add a new activity. So right here from the home screen, we're going to go ahead and click the plus sign and start with an activity. What I'll do just as a quick demo is I'll actually make one. So let's do a rank order, for example, and I'll do it on, I don't know, parts of a research paper. So I'll say abstract is first, then we have the introduction, we have the literature review, we have methods, and then data analysis, and then we might have a discussion. When I'm done adding in my content, I click next, and I get to select a theme. So this is really fun, especially for your elementary students, but also totally for your secondary students too. I'll select this Future Bots theme and click Finish. And it's going to add that activity to my online account as a teacher. And it's going to take a second, but once it does, I can have students join my class the same way I had you guys join. So let's title this example and finish. Or I could even send it to them through a link, as well as send it to teachers through a link. So from my landing page right here, I would start the activity. And I would open this up and have my students join. And you guys all left my class, so you're not going to be joined right now. But if you wanted to join me again, I see Jennifer is joining me, you will be able to participate in this activity from your device. Or again, you could also just do it right on the smartboard and have them click and drag the different topics right here. Now from my home page, to share a link, I would go down here to the three dots of any activity that I've made, select those three dots and select share link. So it's real simple. You literally just click either get teacher share link if you want to share this with a coworker, or get student access link so that students can just click on that link either from Google Classroom or from whatever learning management platform you use. If you use Edmodo, even if you send it to them via email, they will be able to actually do this lesson at home. Okay, so just to review, once you go to suite.smarttech.com, you're going to be able to sign in as a teacher. And I've already signed in, so it brought me right into my page. And from there, I can actually add an activity just like that. Go through whatever activity prompts I want. So for example, this time I might do a shout it out because it's quick and easy. I'll click finish because I like the random one. And it'll add the activity to my lesson library. Before I finish editing, I can even add another activity should I choose to create a series of activities. And that's exactly what we're going to want you to do in our challenge. So once you do that, go ahead and share the link to those activities with us via Twitter. Definitely share them with your students, either during class or perhaps through your learning management platform. So to go back, I just wanted to show you again this presentation and the last page, and you guys will get this actually with an email following this webinar. What you would do is create a shout it out and another smart activity of your choice. So a shout it out and a super sword, or a shout it out and a monster quiz, or whatever combination you'd like. And then share the link on Twitter to SmartPLN and SmartTechTeddy. If you'd like help, check out our resources. These will also be sent to you. We have a Smart Learning Suite online teacher guide, And we have a Google Doc that actually explains the G Suite integration into more detail if you are a Google user. In addition, there's a link to register for upcoming webinars. And this will allow you to, for example, register for the webinar coming up in a couple of weeks here in October. It's going to be October 3rd, and it's called Stop, Collaborate, and Learn with SLS Online. So this is going to extend your learning. You've learned about smart activities, you've learned how to access your online account as a teacher, and now you can also learn a little bit more about SLS Online in general and how to do plenty more things than I've shown you today. But for now, I hope you enjoy creating smart activities. I hope your kids really enjoy playing them, and I hope you will share them with us on Twitter.
All right, thank you, Teddy, so much for joining us today. All right, there were a few questions. We have a few minutes just to open up and ask some questions if you have any for Teddy. There was one that we had earlier, and it had to do with the games that you were doing earlier, Teddy, about asking if it was possible for teachers to see student responses, and it had to do with when students were doing like the super sort games. Is it possible for teachers to see student responses?
So the only way for those particular ones to see student responses is for you to really walk around the room or have the student take a screenshot and submit their final activity. However, I would encourage you to consider not checking those particular activities for accuracy necessarily, but perhaps using them as a point of discussion in your class. It would be really time consuming to have to go through each individual student's responses. So I wouldn't recommend that for things like Super Sort or Match 'em Up or any of the ones I showed you. However, and this will be covered probably in the next webinar, but since we have time, I'm going to show you. From your home page in Smart Learning Suite, if you really want student data, the best way to get it is to actually create an assessment. So instead of starting with an activity, go ahead and start with an assessment. And this is really great because you literally just put in the types of questions you want. You can mix and match multiple choice, true or false, multiple answer. You can even use this as an opinion or a poll. So if you use this, then you would be able to have your students take that quiz or test and then export those results into an Excel spreadsheet. Any other questions?
You can either go ahead and unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat and I can go ahead and let Teddy know if you have any more questions for her today. I've added some resources, including her file and the resource to the webinar. As Teddy mentioned, it will come in the follow-up email that you're going to be getting within the next 48 hours.
Okay, great. So definitely please complete the challenge. It's super easy. If you need help, of course, you can always contact our team, and you can even tweet at me at SmartTechTeddy. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
So if there's no other questions, we hope you go and have a great day. Please use Smart Learning Suite Online, share it with your friends, tweet it out, and we are looking forward to seeing what your challenges bring you. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you.